From the moment human civilization began, a silent and unlikely creature shaped the fate of entire societies. It was not a warrior, not a king, not a philosopher. It was the cat. Thousands of years ago in the Fertile Crescent, when humans first stored grain, rats arrived in massive numbers. They destroyed food, spread disease, and threatened survival. In the middle of this crisis, wild cats approached human settlements, hunting the rats that humans could not control. Humans noticed their value, and an unspoken alliance was formed. This alliance became one of the most important partnerships in history. In ancient Egypt, cats were not pets. They were a vital security force. Grain was the heart of Egypt's economy, and rats were its greatest threat. Cats protected the grain, and in return, Egypt protected the cats. Killing a cat was a crime. Smuggling a cat out of Egypt could bring death. Cats became symbols of divinity, guardians of wealth, and protectors of life. The goddess Bastet represented this power, but behind the religion was a simple truth. Egypt survived because its food supply survived, and its food survived because of cats. In 525 BCE, this devotion turned into a weakness. When Persia invaded Egypt at the Battle of Pelusium, the Persian king Cambyses II used a shocking tactic. His soldiers painted cats on their shields and carried cats in front of their army. The Egyptians refused to attack. Firing arrows meant harming a sacred animal, something they believed would bring divine punishment. Persia advanced without resistance. Egypt fell, not because its army was weak, but because its enemy used the cat as a psychological weapon. It was one of the strangest victories in ancient warfare, won through the fear of harming a creature Egypt worshipped. Centuries later, in medieval Europe, the cat once again played a major role in human survival. Cities were crowded, dirty, and filled with rats. Diseases spread quickly. In places where cats were common, the plague spread more slowly because cats reduced the rat population. Yet superstition turned people against them. During witch hunts, many believed that cats were the companions of witches. Thousands of cats were killed out of fear. The result was catastrophic. Rat populations exploded, and the Black Death spread faster than ever before. A plague that killed millions gained strength because the very animal that helped control it was destroyed. In this moment, Europe fought an unintended war against cats, and the continent paid the price. During the Age of Exploration, cats shaped global history again. Every major ship carried cats. Rats on board spread disease, destroyed food, and chewed through wooden hulls. Cats protected the ships, the sailors, and the supplies. Without them, long voyages would have been nearly impossible. The expansion of European empires depended on sea travel, and sea travel depended on the silent hunters living in the lower decks. Every empire, from Britain to Spain, owed part of its naval success to the cats that guarded their ships. Yet, cats also showed how powerful and dangerous they could be to ecosystems. In the 1800s, on a small island near New Zealand, a single cat named Tibbles hunted a rare, flightless bird known as Lyle's wren. Within a short time, the entire species disappeared. One cat brought an evolutionary lineage to an end. This event shocked naturalists and revealed how dominant cats could become when introduced into fragile environments. It was a different kind of war, one fought silently between predator and prey, with irreversible consequences. During World War I, the trenches of Europe swarmed with rats. These rats destroyed food, clothing, equipment, and carried disease. Soldiers struggled to sleep, eat, or stay healthy. Cats became essential. They hunted rats, protected supplies, and provided emotional comfort to soldiers living in constant fear. In World War II, the role of cats continued. They lived in military bases, submarines, and government offices. Winston Churchill kept a cat named Nelson in his wartime headquarters, considering it a symbol of luck and calm during the darkest days of the war. Intelligence agencies used cats to protect sensitive documents from rats that damaged wires and chewed through reports. Cats became invisible assets of war, never trained as soldiers, but always present where survival depended on them. As civilization expanded into cities and industries grew, the cat became a constant part of human life. It protected farms, ships, warehouses, and homes. It controlled disease spread by rodents and safeguarded food stores across continents. At the same time, cats influenced human psychology. Their presence reduced stress, brought comfort, and helped people cope with fear, isolation, and war. They shaped daily life as quietly as they shaped ancient empires. In the modern world, the battlefield changed. No longer about grain, ships, or trenches, the new battleground was digital culture. The internet crowned the cat as its king. Cat videos, memes, and online communities spread across every platform. The cat became a global symbol of humor, relaxation, and emotional relief. Billions of people watch, share, and interact with cat content every day. In a strange but powerful way, cats conquered the largest communication network humans have ever created. Across thousands of years, cats have shaped human destiny. They protected civilizations from famine, controlled diseases that could wipe out cities, influenced the result of battles, altered ecosystems, supported soldiers in global wars, and finally dominated culture in the digital age. They never led armies, yet armies won because of them. They never ruled empires, yet empires survived because of them. They never sought power, yet somehow they achieved it. This is the true war of the Whiskers, a silent struggle woven through the history of humanity, fought not with weapons, but with presence, instinct, and influence. From the dawn of human history, cats have been both observers and participants in civilization's evolution. As humans built villages, stored grain, and domesticated livestock, cats quietly established themselves as indispensable partners. Unlike other animals, their influence was subtle, invisible, yet profound. They were rarely documented in official records, but everywhere humans relied on stability, on the protection of crops, the control of pests, or even emotional support, cats were present. In Mesopotamia, cats were not only hunters of rodents, but also symbols of vigilance. Temples featured carvings of felines, often alongside lions, symbolizing both domestic protection and raw power. Artifacts show that cats were frequently adorned with collars, jewelry, or engraved amulets, a testament to the high regard in which they were held. Their presence ensured grain stores survived the year, securing the food supply that allowed cities like Ur and Babylon to flourish. Moving forward in time, cats shaped civilizations in ways rarely acknowledged. In Greece, cats were valued for controlling rodents in city markets, but they also appeared in literature and art as metaphors for independence and agility. Philosophers noticed them in courtyards and temples, observing their quiet grace and hunting prowess. While lions, tigers, and other exotic animals were displayed in arenas and considered symbols of military might, the domestic cat's power lay in its utility and discretion. It was, in every way, a silent guardian of human progress. In Rome, cats were integrated into urban life as protectors of grain, libraries, and homes. Unlike dogs, whose loyalty was often tested in warfare, cats functioned without command, yet performed their tasks flawlessly. Roman soldiers on campaigns often brought cats along to encampments and supply depots. Even when historians focus on legions, logistics, and emperors, the survival of a legion often depended on the health and sustenance of its men, which cats indirectly safeguarded by eliminating disease-carrying rodents. During the Middle Ages, cats became central to both superstition and survival. Their hunting abilities were unmatched in European towns, but social perceptions often turned lethal.
The infamous witch hunts of the 14th to 17th centuries caused the deaths of countless cats, mistakenly associated with sorcery. Scholars estimate that tens of thousands of cats were executed, creating ecological disasters that allowed rat populations to surge. The Black Death, which claimed millions of lives, was exacerbated in areas where cats were removed. Inadvertently, humans declared war on one of their most effective allies, and the consequences were catastrophic. Across the seas, cats played a crucial role in the age of exploration. Merchant vessels, naval fleets, and colonial expeditions all relied on them to protect cargo from infestation. On ships, rats not only consumed stored food, but also gnawed through ropes, woodwork, and equipment, compromising the safety and success of voyages. Cats patrolled the decks, silently and efficiently, performing tasks no human or mechanical device could replicate. In essence, cats were integral to the expansion of European influence worldwide. Their presence often determined whether a fleet reached its destination intact. In colonial settlements, cats continued to shape ecosystems, sometimes with unintended consequences. Islands with isolated species often suffered when cats were introduced. Predatory instincts allowed them to eradicate entire bird species, reshaping ecological balances and forcing humans to reassess their understanding of environmental stewardship. The extinction of New Zealand's Lyle's wren is just one example of a single feline dramatically altering the natural world, demonstrating the destructive side of their influence alongside their protective role. During World War I, the trenches of Europe became arenas where cats once again proved their value. Soldiers endured disease, vermin infestations, and psychological trauma. Cats controlled rat populations that threatened supplies and spread infection, while also serving as companions in the darkest of times. Emotional bonds formed quickly, as soldiers relied on these small creatures for comfort amid the chaos of war. In World War II, their role expanded. Cats were present in bases, command posts, and even intelligence centers. Winston Churchill's cat Nelson became a symbol of calm and luck, illustrating how deeply cats influenced not just physical survival, but morale and decision-making during critical moments in human history. The story of cats in modern society reflects a continuation of this unseen influence. With urbanization, cats became guardians of homes, warehouses, and farms. Their hunting instincts protected food stores and preserved balance in growing cities. They were introduced in laboratories, libraries, and institutions as natural pest control. Beyond utility, cats also provided psychological relief, lowering stress levels, improving mental health, and helping humans adapt to increasingly complex urban lives. The digital age represents the newest battlefield in the War of the Whiskers. Cats, now freed from the constraints of physical survival, dominate human attention online. Videos, memes, social media profiles, and cultural references place them at the center of modern communication. Unlike any empire or technology, their influence is voluntary yet universal. Millions engage with cat content daily, shaping cultural trends, media attention, and even marketing strategies. The silent war continues, now fought not for grain or territory, but for attention, affection, and global presence. Across centuries, cats have demonstrated versatility, adaptability, and subtle power. From protecting civilizations against famine, disease, and rodents, to influencing soldiers, explorers, and global culture, their impact cannot be understated. Even when humans misunderstood, feared, or actively opposed them, cats persisted, influencing events in ways both visible and invisible. They have survived empires, plagues, and wars, maintaining their role as a silent yet persistent force in human history. The War of the Whiskers is not a story of battles and conquests in the traditional sense. It is a story of survival, influence, and adaptation. Cats have operated without recognition, without command, and without expectation of reward. Their victories are measured in the continued survival of humans, the protection of resources, the shaping of societies, and the evolution of culture. They are, in every sense, silent participants in history. From the deserts of Egypt to the urban streets of medieval Europe, from the decks of ships crossing oceans to the digital landscapes of the modern world, cats have left indelible marks. They have challenged humans, assisted humans, and at times corrected human errors. Their story is one of patience, persistence, and unparalleled instinct. History has recorded empires, wars, and leaders, but through every turning point, cats have been present, sometimes guiding, sometimes guarding, always observing, and occasionally changing the course of human events in ways we are only beginning to fully understand.
As the modern world evolved, the relationship between humans and cats entered a new chapter. In industrial cities, factories, warehouses, and food distribution centers became the backbone of national economies. Rodent infestations threatened not only food safety, but also the machinery and wiring essential for mass production. Cats adapted instantly to this new terrain. They patrolled industrial districts with the same silent efficiency they once used in ancient granaries. Companies even began employing factory cats to maintain hygiene and protect supplies. Their presence saved countless businesses from costly infestations, though the credit rarely extended beyond a passing acknowledgement. In rural areas, farm life without cats was nearly impossible. Barns stored grain, hay, and supplies that attracted pests, and cats became guardians of the entire agricultural system. Farmers understood their importance instinctively. A single cat could eliminate dozens of rodents in a week, preserving harvests that fed families and sustained local economies. Over generations, cats became part of the landscape, woven into folklore and superstitions. Many farmers believed that a farm without a cat was incomplete, vulnerable to misfortune, or destined for poor yields. Although unspoken and often unnoticed, cats quietly underpinned the stability of rural communities. Across Asia, their influence took on unique cultural forms. In Japan, the maneki neko became a symbol of good fortune. This figure, often displayed at shop entrances, embodied a deep belief that cats attracted prosperity. The story behind it tells of a cat who saved a traveling lord by raising its paw and beckoning him inside a temple moments before lightning struck the spot where he had been standing. Whether literal or mythic, the story reflected a collective trust in feline intuition. Japanese sailors routinely kept ship cats for luck, leading to the spread of the belief throughout East Asia. In China, cats were admired for their calmness and the ability to coexist with humans without demanding dominance. They were considered protectors of silkworm farms, where rats posed a constant threat. Without cats, the silk industry, one of the world's earliest global luxury trades, would have suffered devastating losses. Their balance they maintained ensured that one of the world's earliest global luxury trades remained strong. Their service was so critical that they were often given special places to sleep within silk workshops, as workers understood that the entire industry depended on them. In the Islamic world, cats were celebrated for their cleanliness and companionship. Stories about the Prophet Muhammad's love for cats created a cultural tradition of respect. This respect allowed cats to roam freely in cities such as Baghdad, Cairo, Damascus, and Istanbul. They protected libraries, markets, and mosques from rodents that could damage manuscripts or contaminate food supplies. Scholars often wrote with cats resting nearby, and travelers described cities filled with well-cared-for felines. This environment helped the growth of knowledge and commerce in regions that became centers of learning for centuries. Throughout Europe during the Renaissance, artists and writers incorporated cats into their work. Their presence symbolized mystery, independence, and intelligence. Painters such as Leonardo da Vinci sketched them with fascination, studying their movement and anatomy. He once wrote that even the smallest cat is a masterpiece, a statement that resonates with the careful precision he applied to all living forms.
Publishers also relied on cats to protect printing houses from rodents that chewed through books and paper. Without these feline guardians, early knowledge distribution would have suffered significant setbacks. As global trade networks expanded, cats became even more vital. Merchant ships traveling vast distances across dangerous oceans depended on their ability to hunt rats that threatened stored food. On long voyages, rats reproduce fast enough to wipe out months' worth of supplies. A single cat, however, could change the entire outcome of a mission. Many ship captains believed that a vessel without a cat invited misfortune. Sailors often formed tight bonds with cats, naming them, feeding them, and treating them as crew members. Some cats gained legendary status. They were credited with detecting storms before they arrived, sensing unrest among the crew, or simply keeping morale high in times of isolation. As humans began exploring the polar regions, cats journeyed even to the edges of the world. On Arctic and Antarctic expeditions, they served the same essential purpose they had served for millennia. They protected precious food stores and equipment. Their presence brought comfort in the most unforgiving environments on Earth. Photographs from early expeditions often include cats sitting on crates, walking along icy decks, or curled up beside explorers dressed in furs. The 20th century demonstrated that cats were not just practical allies, but psychological lifelines. In war hospitals, therapy animals were occasionally permitted to visit wounded soldiers. Cats provided emotional relief, lowering stress and anxiety. In trenches and bunkers, they became symbols of hope. Soldiers believed that if a cat remained calm, they were safe. Their behavior was seen as instinctive, almost prophetic. Many units adopted cats as mascots, carrying them through campaigns and battles. Their presence strengthened bonds among soldiers, created shared stories, and restored a sense of humanity in the midst of chaos. In intelligence operations, cats played surprising roles. During the Cold War, the CIA attempted an unusual project known as Acoustic Kitty. It aimed to use a cat fitted with audio equipment for espionage. The project ultimately failed due to technical and ethical issues, but the very fact that intelligence agencies considered cats suitable for covert missions reveals how deeply humans trusted their abilities. Although the mission was abandoned, it remains one of the strangest chapters in the long partnership between humans and cats. As cities grew larger and technology advanced, cats did not lose relevance. They adapted yet again. They became protectors of restaurants, apartment buildings, food trucks, and small shops. They became official employees in several American post offices, where they controlled rodents in mail storage facilities. Universities kept them in libraries. Museums allowed them to roam the corridors at night. These cats became part of the identity of entire institutions. They were beloved by staff, admired by visitors, and sometimes memorialized with plaques after passing away. Russia's Hermitage Museum became famous for its army of cats. For centuries, they guarded priceless artworks from rodent damage. The museum administration cared for them, fed them, and even organized annual celebrations in their honor. Tourists often visited not just for the art, but